Welcome back to Jatai Academy. Today we're going to be doing a messy mod. Now a messy mod is just a longer taper. You know, I think that we're beginning to see fashion change and go from really short, super clean to a little longer and more lived in. And that's what this haircut is really a study in, is lived in texture that's not short, but not really long. It's that in-between phase. We're going to show you how to add texture to it to keep it from being too bulky. We're going to show you how to apply that with a Feather Plier Razor. So let's get started. So our first section is going to be center of the recession, straight back to the quarter part down into the occipital bone straight across. That's going to separate the top of the head from the bottom of the head. Then I'm going to go through, and whatever this front hairline is right here, it's going to be parallel to the hairline right behind the ear. And I find that if I section according to the partings of the head, I'll end up with a haircut that fits their head better and flows better with their hairlines. So I will take that angle straight down. I'm going to start with my Feather Plier Razor. This is a limited edition white version. It has no guard and it is the sharpest blade that I have in my arsenal, and also gives me the cleanest cut and the most control over my blade. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to pull this out straight out from the hairline. I'm going to determine where that falls along the ear, and then we're going to start with a nice smooth razor stroke, cutting everything parallel from the head. That's going to leave me a little bit of length. I can clean that up later if I need to. Now I'll go through, take my next section, which is going to be parallel to that first section, pin this out of the way. I'm going to combine these two sections into one. So I'll cut in the center of both of these sections. There's my guide from underneath. Go through with a long, broad razor stroke, cutting top down to the bottom. Comb that down. See how that length is? I think that's going to fit good. I think that's looking pretty solid. So now we will go through and continue with my third section, continue working towards the back. I will remove the first section, so I only have the second and third section as I walk this guide all the way to the back. Same methodology, comb everything straight out from the head, get it clean. There's my guide, you can see it starting to fall out. Same sort of razor stroke I was going through and doing. I take my next section, number 4, parallel to the previously cut section. You see how now this hairline in the front is matching the parting, which is matching the hairline behind the ear. And I'll just continue to work this all the way back, removing section 2. So now I only have section 3 and 4. Take my razor and continue following my guide as I walk this into the back. There's my guide. Just allow the movement of the razor to cut the hair. I'm not actually trying to cut the hair. I'm just laying the razor against the hair and it cuts it. The movement is what cuts it. Now I'm moving down to section number 5, parallel all the way down into the nape, the same angle of parting that I was taking, and I'll work this all the way down. Follow us on your favorite social media at Jatai Feather. Gently apply my cut line. Now I don't have a guide other than the previously cut hair in this section. Following that parting, taking that in a little tighter here at the nape. Now we have a nice smooth transition from our side hair into the hair in the nape. And I'm going to follow this same methodology of section, 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 section until I get to the center of the back of the head. Now we're beginning to come into the center of the back, and I'm following the same method, working with my previously cut section as my guide, pulling everything into the center of those two partings, cutting all the way down, anything here at the nape, just taking any long little piece off that I don't like. We got both sides finished. Let's check our lengths, and I'm feeling like that's pretty even, pretty good. All right, I'm going to start with a natural or center part and go back to, come here, I'm going to go back to the crown to the top of the ear. That's going to separate the front half of the head from the back half of the head. Now I'm going to go through and take a center section. Give us a thumbs up, click subscribe, and the notification bell to be notified of future Jatai Academy content. Pin the other hair out of the way. Now from my center section, I'm going to hold this out at 90. There's my length from the bottom, and I just want to continue this type of graduation up and out. What I want to watch for, though, is I don't want to get too steep of an angle and create a shelf. I want this to be a smooth, even gradation all the way up to the crown. If I want, I can separate this in half if that's too much hair to deal with at one time. I'll take my razor, open it up. I will pull this out 90 from the head. There's my length that's falling out underneath, and then I will continue the same sort of razor stroke that I was doing before, going up and out. So I want to visualize in my mind that I'm bringing this up and out. That's going to prevent me from getting it too short in the crown and making the haircut look flat. The last thing you want is to have longer hair and their head to look flat, and to make it look like it's like they got a Frankenstein head. That's not good. My next section I'll pull out clean. There's my length from underneath, and continue, get the razor stroke started before I start to cut as I continue up and out, gradually getting longer as I get to the crown. I'm going to continue the same thing that I was doing underneath, but instead of me walking around the head, I'm going to continue to pull everything square to me. So let me show you what that looks like. I will take a parallel section to the first section that I just cut. And now from here, I'm squaring up to the head, and I want to continue to pull this straight out at this angle. I'm not going to start to bevel it around it. So I take the center section and my first section, pull that straight back. Boop, boop, there's my length from underneath. There's my guide from underneath. So I'll remove the first section that I took as my guide. I now have section 2 and 3, and I will continue pulling this straight out towards me, just making a conscious effort to pull straight back, not 90 degrees from the head. There we go. The last section here, remove section 2. Now I have section 3 and section 4. Pull that straight back. There's my length. Continue that up and out. Okay, my next section, I'm going to take a horizontal section straight across the top. I'm going to take a little bit of the hair from the back, and I don't really care about this hair underneath because I'm going to completely disconnect this. So I'm going to start from the back. I'm going to hold this straight out from the head. Where my length was in the back, I'm going to go through and use that to cut my length on the top, holding this out at elevation from the back into the front. parallel section straight across the top. Pull this horizontally straight over. There's my guide from the back and my guide from underneath. A nice broad razor stroke as I work from the back to the front. So because I have a nice broad razor stroke, that gives me a lot of length, but not a tremendous amount of weight. So when I brush that back, I have all of that length, but it still is going to blend smoothly if I want it to, or I can kind of dishevel this and have this a little messy. Last section on this side. Now these things have a very, very thick crown. So I'm going to go through and take a little bit of weight out of the crown and then cut my length. Pull that straight out. Whenever the hair starts to get dry, I want to make sure I use a little bit of Jatai Blade Glide. This makes it a lot easier for my razor to glide through the hair. It gives me a cleaner cut. It compacts the cuticle and makes it a lot easier to comb and detangle. All right, so now we've got that. I'm going to take a section straight across here at the top, and you can see that really long piece right here in the front. So I'm going to take a little bit of that out. I'll just comb everything straight out, channel, and cut some of that length off right here in the very center. I don't want to go through and recut everything. Just take that point off of the center. My next piece, this is going to be it. Just take a little bit, channel, and cut a little bit of that length off. There we go. Still got a little point, but I think that's going to do really well. All right, here's our end result, and I think that we're looking pretty good. I think we got a nice shape to it. We got it clean here in the bottom without it being too clean. We got some length on the sides, and it really gives us that grown out, lived in kind of feeling and shape to it, which is really what a modern, messy mod is really all about. It's a tapered haircut that's a little bit longer and a lot more textured, so you got a lot more of a lived in kind of feeling to it, and it's easier to take care of. You can just like whip it back and forth, and this haircut really works well on a lot of different hair textures. Curly hair, straight hair, thick hair, you can really thin it out and get a lot of de-fluffing out of it so it doesn't become so overpowering. And that's a problem with a lot of mid-lengths, is that when you have thick hair and it's a mid-length, it starts to get too bulky. So by undercutting the sides and using our Feather Plier Razor, we can really debulk a lot of that without removing all the length. Please check out the Jatai Academy. There's all kinds of fantastic information on there that will make you a better hairstylist and barber. Also, let us know what you'd like to see in the future. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.